All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. Usually this
What
comes
up?
out on a Wednesday, but technical difficulties. I had no power Wednesday or Thursday, and then other things came up. But we're here on a Friday, 5:30, and we have a special guest today. Kevin, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Kevin Peters, buddy of the pod. Excited to hash out some Pistons versus Cavs stuff.
Welcome.
And
We're excited
figure
to.
out the rest of the season.
Let's go.
So I'm Mike. And
I'm Trevor.
yep, there we go.
And I'm Mike.
And we got Kevin. And welcome to the
There we go.
podcast. So let's start off. We're going to predict some NBA awards for next year, and we're predicting this on the 22nd of July. So if people go back to watch this after and they think we look like clowns or we look like geniuses, just a heads up. So let's start with the MVP. The guy, okay, people say he got robbed this past year. I don't really think so. I think Jokic deserved the MVP, but my prediction for next year is going to be Joel Embiid. I think him and Harden will get something going, and it'll lead to a good, solid MVP campaign. His numbers might go down just because he's playing with Harden, but I think his efficiency will go up, and they'll probably be one of the top 3 seeds in the East.
Can he stay on the floor though? He had a healthy season, but like in the past, with all of that high usage, do you see him like being able to put together, like nobody plays 82 games, but could you see him putting together like a 65 game season?
I could.
100%.
I definitely
Yeah, I
could.
do
I know
too.
he's had injury problems before, but I think he's starting to kind of grow out of that. I think he's starting to he's taking care of his body like more seriously now, I feel like, because now he's realizing like he's gotten so close to going to the finals like that year against Toronto, and then they've had some decent playoff runs and then they usually fold. But I think he now is understanding the importance of like every single year that he's playing now, because right now he's in his prime and we don't know how much longer that's going to last. And honestly, he probably doesn't either.
I think the only part about like an Embiid MVP case has to do with Harden. So he signed, Trev, what was the number? It was like 1 and 1 for
68.
yeah. So this is Harden's I need to make some money year. So is his usage going to mess with Embiid?
I see what you're saying. Like you're kind of like you said this yesterday that like he right now his mindset's like, damn, I'm losing money by the second, like because I'm not the same player I used to be. Maybe I should like I'll use this season to outperform what I've been doing and I'll get back that big contract. But he said that he wanted to take a salary hit to like build a better team around him. So I don't know, like, cause it's just like, I see what you're saying that it totally could happen. And knowing what James has done before and like how unsuccessful he's been as like a playoff player, like it's just not like, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I still think I still
now
think
he's
he's going
playing
to be
with
there.
a top 2 MVP candidate. And
Yeah.
he has a whole
I
team
think
around
he's
him.
mad. I think he's mad he didn't win. Like I know that maybe we don't think he was robbed, but Joel thinks he was robbed. So he's going to come back with a vengeance, I think.
Dude, Joel is a very underrated center. Even for how
Underrated.
Yes, even for how much he's talked about. So having someone who can stretch the floor like that and also be 7 foot and be the rim protect. He doesn't shoot as well as Cat. Not even close. But the way he protects the rim, way better than any other center in the league. Like it's just ridiculous. He's very, very good at everything. And that is taken for granted. He's quicker than Jokic. He's more of a paint defender than Towns. He's got the finishing of Jokic. Like he's good inside like that. And he's just a powerhouse. He's got a bunch of muscle. And now you're pairing him with a guard who's used to averaging a ton of points and assists. Like I see how it might be hard for Harden to adjust, but he had 6 months already. They're working all summer, and I think they're going to come out with a game plan. So I put him down the list. I put him down the list as my favorites. What were you saying?
Harden's gonna have to change his game a lot though if he wants to play with Embiid. I think he's gonna have to call him like more assisting and let Joel Embiid do the more scoring now.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's going to be the
getting
pick and
older.
roll game. It's going to be the pick and roll game. Those two.
For sure.
That's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, because like the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, who is Harden going to pass it to? It will be Embiid 90% of the time.
Maxi,
Tobias Harris.
No, I'm saying during that with that pick and roll. So Harden's
Oh yeah,
assist
for
will
sure.
go. You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
if the Sixers do get the 1 seed, right? So now that Brooklyn's kind of fallen apart, if the Bucks, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. I have the Bucks on a team that I see not performing as well as we expect them to. If the Sixers lock up the 1 seed, I think the MVP case for Embiid gets that much stronger
Yeah,
because
exactly.
yeah. So, and I love Daryl Morey. I think he's a great GM. I love what he did in Houston, but I think they have another move to make. You know what I mean? So if this Harden experiment doesn't quite work out, I can see them pivoting in the middle of the year, you know, and strengthening that Embiid case. I think he has a great chance of winning it if he can stay on the floor. That I think that's the bottom line there. I'll lead right into my pick.
He did play 68 games last year, though. He
Yeah,
just ended up missing his last at the end of the season, was unfortunate.
That's what I mean. If he can do the 68 games again, if he can do the 68 games again, then great. And this is like with my pick, like I'll lead into that. I have Anthony Davis at plus 6,000. If that guy is on the floor, he's a top 5 player in the NBA. I think like it's the same thing. If AD can put together 70 games, who can you say won't win that award? You know, with LeBron James like aging and whatever the Russell Westbrook experiment's going to be. I mean, if AD's on the floor for 70 games, I don't think that there's 5 players better than him. And at plus 6,000,
that's a fair case. He did not play much last year either. He barely saw him.
I saw it was a Kendrick Perkins today was saying, or yesterday, he was like AD's a top 5 player if healthy. And then he said he could be like, I think like the best player in the world. And then he, started off going on some rant. And I was like, all right, you lost me there. But like, as soon as he said top 5 when healthy, I'm like, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And at plus 6,000 odds, that's ridiculous.
Best player in the world. That's crazy. Settle down.
He's not best player. He's not best player in the world.
Yeah, I know. Tell Perk to settle down.
I'll take over the Perk.
He's always
role for this pod.
No, but I definitely see.
Like, think about the 3-man game the Lakers will run. Like, pick and roll with Bron and AD, and then have Westbrook like chilling out on the wing. And if nothing's there, dish out to Westbrook and let him just crash the rim. Let him just.
I thought you were gonna say shoot. I'll take the rim.
No, maybe a mid range. Like if he just pulls up, like I'll take that shot if it's open. But like I want Russ finishing. Like that's what he's known for as a guard. Like he's known as a finisher, and he's still got that athleticism. Not what he used to have, but definitely.
No, I got Gary Payton now.
Yeah, there's a place.
Son Payton second.
The NBA needs the Lakers to be good. The NBA really likes when the Knicks are good and when the Lakers are good. So if like AD can just put together 65 games, like I just think that he could put together something like 28, 12, and 8. And like that's matching any Giannis season from his 2 MVP things. You know what I mean?
Fair. But he's
I just think
he also has one of the best players in history playing with him. And Giannis is playing with Chris Middleton, a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, I totally get it. I just think that if he can get healthy, I think he has kind of the same odds as Embiid. If AD and Embiid play the same amount of games, I think it'll come down to whose team is higher up.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Sixers. I have a feeling because Sixers are in the race right now for a top 2 seed, 3 seed.
No, I agree, but I'm saying at plus 6,000 odds, you're not going to get better value than Anthony Davis.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's
Trev, who'd you have?
I chose Luka Doncic. I think he's putting up MVP numbers every year, and the fact that he hasn't won yet is kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's carried his. I don't know if you watched the first podcast, or maybe it was the first, the second. I was talking about how I brought up the stats in the minutes for the Western Conference Finals series with the Mavs Warriors, and Luka's team is terrible. It's literally just a bunch of bench people that should be on the bench coming off as a 6th or 7th man are in the starting lineup. And
Brunson.
Yeah,
What
Brunson.
do you mean, dude? He was a
and
max
Dorian
contract
Finney-Smith.
player.
Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock combined averaged like 30 or like 35. And Luka averaged 35 by himself. And like, you just can't, now that he has a legit center with Christian Wood that he can pick and roll or pick and pop.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that matchup right there. And Christian Wood obviously isn't like a Joel Embiid or like anything like that, but having someone who's a legit threat who can average 20 is going to space the floor for him, open things up. And I don't see the Mavs not performing this year. Like I'm with what Luka did with that roster last year was ridiculous. And
I think the Mavs
he doesn't
problem
show a
was
sign of slowing down.
no. I just think that the voters care if your team is good, and I think the Mavs problem was defense, and then they go out and get a purely offensive center. Like Christian Wood stinks on defense. If you look at his numbers,
That is
he's bad.
yeah, he is.
So like now
He's a
what,
lot.
you're gonna trust Dwight Powell to protect the paint, and Luka's
Yeah.
not. I'd
No,
say
Luka's
he's
not
an
a great defender.
average defender.
Yeah, right,
like,
right.
average at best. And what Tim Hardaway comes back, oh great. Now, like you know what I mean? They're gonna have to score 150 points a game.
I mean,
fair
and that
I
team
like
can
it.
do that. Though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think their team is built for runs.
And yeah, and if Luka averages 30, I don't see him not winning it. But if like the Mavs are a 7 seed, you know, like what was the year? What was Russell Westbrook's seed when he averaged a triple double and got the MVP? Right, it was the lowest playoff ranking that an MVP has ever had.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could use that case like to help Luka be like, look, Luka's the only guy on the Mavs, and Russ was the only guy. And
No, I just think he's going to have to put up even better numbers than he already is if his team doesn't succeed the way that they want him to.
yeah,
I mean, that's fair, but like you said, you see, like if he can average 30 or whatever,
Which he totally can.
he
Yeah,
averaged 28.4 last season, and that was with
Yeah.
no one spacing the floor. Like no one respected anybody else on that floor. Maybe Tim Hardaway,
No,
maybe
no, it's a
occasionally
reason.
Jalen Brunson.
There's a reason why he's a favorite. I can definitely see it happening. And at this point, the NBA almost is going to have to give him a gimme award, kind of like Westbrook. You know, we're like, okay,
enough.
he's
Like, we're
finally
like,
he's
okay.
done this 4 years in a row. We should probably
Like we
give him
can't
the
not
MVP.
acknowledge it. Right, okay.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Nards, who's your pick to win the MVP?
I had Embiid. Mine are at the bottom. I had Embiid. Dude was balling last year. I still think he got robbed. I think he should ended up winning it last year over. But
I honestly agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it was 50-50, and I wish it would have went to Embiid, but I can't deny that Jokic, like,
Yeah,
I mean,
like
that was a
Jokic-
generation. That was
Jokic
literally a
did carry,
generational.
but
He carried his team.
yeah.
No, yeah, he did.
He was
It's
the
same thing
only
it's the
one
same thing
on the
with Luka.
Nuggets.
No, yeah, he was. I agree with that. It's the same thing as the Luka situation.
Well, their starting
Yeah, but
point
the-
guard was
They went
Monte Morris.
further, so
It's just
Monte
like
Morris
it's,
in the playoffs.
it's just these two Europeans on these teams with a bunch of bums. And I mean, I don't know, man. Those damn Europeans are different.
They
I
play
was telling
different style of
Trev,
basketball.
the EuroLeague.
yeah, I was telling Trev, Denver got so lucky that guy doesn't know about America that he wants to live in Denver for the rest of his life because he would do, you know what I mean? Like,
But it's probably similar to home though. That's probably like he probably feels comfortable in Denver. It might be
Yeah.
that case, right? But
Kevin, how do you think Luka feels? Dallas, Texas?
I
That's
mean,
got to
but
be a
it's
top 5
Cuban.
worst city in the United States.
No, don't say that, dude. Dallas with Cuban and everything like that, they got great tacos. Don't
I'm
start
just
with
kidding,
me.
bro. It's just blistering hot. Our buddy Kev is
It
down
is.
there right now working in Fort Worth, and he says
Yeah.
it's like at nighttime. It's like 97.
113. Yeah.
He says he goes outside, and you literally have to go back inside immediately after.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
well,
for a walk
Kevin
today. No,
probably
you're not.
does.
But all right, homies, should we hop on to this next one?
Yeah, I want to talk about
I'm
like,
excited
defensive
about
player
this
of the
one.
year.
I'm
'cause
excited about this one.
when I went to Pittsburgh, it was the end of my sophomore year. I went to go visit Trev, and he was staying at a house. And one of his roommates, you know, I forget his name. I apologize. But me and him were arguing who's the better Bridges, Miles or Mikal. I said Miles.
Well,
and he fought
And
for
now you're
Mikal,
eating your words.
And
one
then,
of them's in prison.
Yeah.
The other one is the second voted defensive player.
But
of the year.
he kept bringing up the fact he was like, people don't know Mikal Bridges, like his value on the defensive end of the ball because he's a wing player who's got a 7-foot wingspan and he's like 6'7". Like then I started like watching the Suns games more, which helped because they're, you know, that postseason they went to the finals. And I was like, holy smokes, like he was right. Like Mikal Bridges, like he's a great 3-and-D guy. And he was up for the award this year. But that's why I think, again, like I think the guys usually that get robbed the year before, usually they have that motivation going into the offseason. Now, I think maybe Marcus Smart shouldn't have gotten the Defensive Player of the Year award just
Not at all.
because, like how we were just talking about, his team was successful. They gave him that award in the second round or even in the conference finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they were waiting to see,
No,
some
and
of the playoff run, and it was like, all right, but like if
Yeah,
you
and I
look at
think-
over the season, it'll be Mikal Bridges, I think, clear as day.
I think because Boston had
And he
that,
never misses
like-
a game. Dude played like all 80.
yeah, he plays every game. I also think that when Boston,
Yeah.
after New Year's, they went on that stretch where they were the number one defensive team in the NBA. And I think the league was like, well, who's the best defender on the best defensive team? And
Jason
like,
Tatum
just
by
be,
far. He has so much hustle in him.
well, we're talking about how Marcus Smart won the award because he
No,
is
I know.
like, you know what I mean? He's
I was
known as
just
the
kidding.
best defender.
He's a
So, like,
dog.
Yeah, I mean, so I just think that they gave
No,
it to him
because he
because
is
of
the
that
best defender on
reason.
that team.
Yeah, and like Mikal Bridges, I do think if you looked at his season individually, had a better defensive season than Marcus Smart.
I mean,
And
for sure.
yeah,
But
Like Mikal Bridges could be, if he wanted to, he could probably be the steals champ next year if he plays all 82 games and starts
Oh,
jumping
yeah.
passing lanes like crazy. Like especially with that wingspan, we'll get a couple blocks too. Like
he's got a 7-foot wingspan, bro.
as a 6'7" wing player who can shoot the three as well.
Right.
I think it's a
I
great
did
pick.
not know that. Oh.
7'1",
That's ridiculous.
That's insane. Yeah.
6
Yeah, and I
inches
see-
taller than he is.
I see Nards
But-
agrees with that pick as well. Why do you?
I don't
think
disagree
Nards?
with that Marcus Smart pick, but I also I also don't agree with just I don't know. Marcus Smart is a very one-way player, I think.
Like in the last couple of seconds of the finals game, I think what was it, game 6? Like I think is when Steph kind of like broke him down or whatever, and then Steph hit the three. If you look at the replay, Marcus Smart, was just like on the ground, and he took forever to get up. Like he didn't want to go defend Steph. Like he was scared to defend Steph. If you're the
Yeah.
defensive player of the year, like you want to have that matchup, like on
Well,
center
and
you
stage.
wanna
Probably
have
so
Steph. Yeah.
gassed.
I know
Steph doesn't stop moving. He just
I know
moves
the
around
defensive player of the year needs
nonstop.
to go to
It's
the
tough.
best defender. It needs to. Like that's what the award is.
That's what
And-
Bridges does too. They always throw Bridges on the best. He's always defending the best guy.
And if
Whoever the Suns
you
play, he's always on them. So that's why I have him.
if there were two players who were equally good defenders and it like went to the one of them, like if Smart and Bridges were equal defenders and it went to one like in a coin flip, I would have been happy with it. But I think that they're very similar defensively. But if you look at how complete of a player they are, sure, Marcus Smart's a great defender. Don't get me wrong, great leader, great defender. That only goes so far in basketball. Defense is a huge part of it. But when you're just on the floor to play defense, sure, he can knock down a three and get open here and there and take it to the rack. But like you need someone who's more complete than that because Boston needed that scoring. And you saw it in the finals. He didn't really have that. And Mikal can knock down shots when he needs to, and he does. And he gets open and he takes it to the rack.
And I think like he was harped on when he was guarding Doncic, but can we understand that like Doncic is an MVP candidate? Like name one person who can lock down Luka for an entire game. Like,
He's the most
He
skilled
can.
offensive player in the league right now. And that's not even
Yeah, and
debatable.
he's just not the body type to guard Luka. So people that were dogging him for like letting Luka score 30, like find me somebody who can stop Luka from getting 30, and then we can talk how Mikal Bridges
Who?
is it.
Mikal?
Who like
Was
he's
that in the
just,
was that in the semis?
yeah, it's or even when they played in the regular season where Luka outscored him and that people were like, oh, we're worried about the Suns. No, like it's Luka Doncic. He's gonna score his 30
The fact
regardless
that
of who's defending him.
I don't care if he even drops 30. You could drop 35 on Mikal's head. The fact that every single play he goes back to the same guy. I want this
Yeah.
matchup. I want this. That's the defensive player of the year in my eyes. And he can do that on top of also performing on the other end. I know it's a defensive award, but you have to, I mean, like basketball is more than just that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that like, yes, Marcus Smart was a great defender, but when it's this close, maybe you look at how the player is as a player and not just a defender. And I think Mikal is ages ahead.
Yeah, and I'll swing this. I'll swing it into my pick. I just think it's hard for a wing or point defender to get the award. That's why I went with Mobley. That's a homer pick. I understand I'm a Cavs fan, but I mean he's ridiculous defensively. And if you look at the past Defensive Player of the Year awards, it's Giannis, it's big guys, it's people who average blocks, it's people that clog the
Gobert.
paint.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
it's Gobert, it's those long, lanky guys.
Draymond
And
Green.
yeah, Draymond. So I think that like Mobley, especially in the position that he's with, I was just talking about it like before we started recording. The fact that we have two legitimate 7-footers, I think the defensive efficiency is going to go skyrocket. And I think Mobley's going to be the key part of that. And at what are his odds?
Do you
at?
see
Yeah,
Jared
at
Allen in the
16.
talk then? Because
I do-
Jared,
I do-
Jared
I
Allen
do-
obviously has more experience, and he's been
I
there.
do 100%, but I just think that name recognition alone, Mobley's going to get more recognition. I think it comes down to who plays more games. So, and I just think that one of those two guys has a great shot of putting it in, especially just because I think Mobley's going to get to 2 blocks a game. I wouldn't be surprised if he's at 2.5 blocks a game. And like, that's ridiculous numbers. And if he can come out, and if the Cavs are top 10 in defensive efficiency, and he's averaging 2 steals and 2 blocks a game, how do you not give it to that guy?
Right, no, I'm okay. 2 and 2.5. That's obviously, those are ridiculous. I
But what he was at, I know his he didn't play a full season, but I know that he was close to that 2 blocks. And I think he can get there with steals.
Last year he played in 69 games and he averaged 1.8 blocks per game.
How many
Yeah.
steals?
So
he averaged 0.9, so just under 1 steal a game.
yeah, I think in his second year, yeah. So instead of maybe 2 steals, but like 1.5, 1.2 steals and 2 blocks a game, like. And again, it's just going to come down to if the Cavs are in top 10 in defense efficiency, which I think they can do, and you can't ignore the best defensive player on that team.
And rebounding is a huge part of the defensive end.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, okay, last year he averaged just under 9 rebounds a game. That's going to go through the roof. He's going to learn how to rebound. He'll be averaging a double-double next year. So he'll probably get 11 rebounds a game, I think. And if he gets up to 2.5 blocks, then you're like, okay, he's getting stops. And then he's also like collecting the ball and like eliminating the chance at an offensive rebound for second chance points. So
yeah,
I
just think if he can come around to what I think Mobley can be, then I think it's kind of at plus 1,600. Obviously, I'm a betting man, hence why I have all the odds connected. I mean, the value there is just crazy to me. Who did you pick, Trev?
I said Giannis, obviously. Not obviously, but I just think it's a talented league right now, and there's so much going on that someone who can guard nearly every position, any play at any given time is just like I don't see. He averaged 1.4 blocks and 1.1 steals, which by themselves that's not outstanding, but the way he guards every position and the people's shooting percentages against him are like they speak for themselves. Having someone you can throw on a center and not get back down, or throw out a power forward and like a shooting forward and close out on them, or even on a small forward like a LeBron or a Kawhi, it's just crazy. I mean, I know Mikal can do that similarly, but I wouldn't put him on a set or anything like that.
No, I mean, it's why he's won the award in the past. He
and I could also
that,
see
yeah.
Mobley in the conversation as well, just because of everything you said. Like, I mean, like 7-footer with a 7-foot wingspan, it's going to be hard not to like be in that conversation. Unless you're bad. If you're 7'1" and that athletic, you should be in that conversation. I
agree. I just think literally like same thing with Giannis. Like the way that guy moves.
Yeah, right. It's ridiculous. He's 240, 6'11", and he's like one of the fastest, most agile players on the court. He's gonna naturally get steals by being that fast, and he's gonna get blocks by being that big.
Length.
So, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Nards, I know you picked Bridges as well. Do you see him being able to guard like all 5 positions like Giannis does?
I don't know about all 5, but probably like definitely their most skilled offensive player, if not being like a center, But like they say nowadays in the game is they're so skilled offensively, it's hard to like stop someone. Like back in the day, you try to slow them down as much as possible. So like you still have like going against Luka, he's still going to come out and probably get like 25, 30, but it's how much can you delay that? and like
Right,
stop
exactly.
that from happening because he's still gonna come out and drop at least 20.
Yeah,
in
it's
your
not
head,
about
like-
going out there and making him go like 1 for 15 and having 8 points with a couple
Yeah,
of free
because you
throws.
can't
No.
just go out there like the bad boys, just tackle him when he's going up for like a layup. You know, it's like
Right, and people are
Luka's
so
so
much.
skilled offensively. He's still going to get his points because he can create that space and get those shots off. So, but I do see him. He goes against like the best player. Usually, he was always defending like the best people on for the Suns.
I
Matching up.
think
So.
I think the only thing that might hurt him is I don't think he'll have the numbers that Giannis will have. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to get there
fair.
on blocks and stuff.
And rebounds.
So if you just look at it from a numbers standpoint, he might be hurt. But I think like you're saying that he's guarding the best player every possession. I think that has to mean something. It has to, regardless.
And
of
he's
whether
played
you get
every
those
game the
numbers.
last 2 years, which is incredible. So every
Has
night
he?
he's going against. Yeah,
He's played
going
82.
against.
Wow.
He's never missed a game.
He's never missed a game since he's been in the league.
And
which
that's
is
where his
crazy.
value
wow.
is
Every
crazy,
night
'cause
he's
you're
going-
just like,
yeah,
okay,
so he's
if
going
he's
against
playing
the best
every
guy
game,
every day.
you have your best defender every single game.
Wow.
That's why he's my pick.
That's
and I'm
crazy.
Yeah,
so
isn't that
it's
freaking
insane.
nuts?
because yeah, he might not maybe average the most steals or something like that, but if he's playing in every game, he'll be.
He's
the,
not
like,
picking and
leader in the
choosing what games he
totals.
wants to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
there every night.
I mean,
he's
he
showing
needs to
out,
be there.
so.
They, other than that, they don't have any defense. Like Aiton's
Right.
not what he should be as a paint defender.
All right.
I mean, that's why later we'll talk about it, but like that's why I think the Suns will struggle actually next year. But
All right, why don't we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I was
then?
just
So
saying,
Let's
Villanova
jump into the-
boys.
let's
All right, well, let's
like,
talk about some rookies.
Yeah, so the thing is with this, we were talking about this. I think it was last podcast or even the first one. We were just saying like it's hard to like judge how good a rookie's going to be off of summer league. But then at the same time,
Yeah.
you see a guy like Ivy who only doesn't even play a full 5 quarters of basketball. And you're like, all right, this guy we'll shut him down. This is me and Kevin were talking about like you shut him down because like, all right, that's all you need to prove. But I started like watching summer league and then I started tuning into the Magic games and I was seeing, obviously you see all the highlights. That guy Paolo Banchero, man. Oh,
He's
He's
legit. He's him.
nasty. And then you see me and
Timothy
Kevin were
that
also
guy.
talking about like the Donovan Mitchell where he's like, welcome to the NBA after dunking on him in a pickup game. Like it was a BS move.
No.
It wasn't even that good. He got a free dunk and was like trying to turn him up. Well, he
that's
turned him up.
happened
Me and
before. Joel
Trevor seen this
Embiid and Mo
before in
Bamba.
person where a guy starts talking shit to somebody and
And then he scores
that
5
guy
straight possessions.
scores on the next couple straight possessions. And if he's doing that to like NBA like studs in just pickup games, imagine what he's going to do
Donovan
in a
Mitchell's
game
about to get
situation.
traded for one of the biggest deals in NBA history. And
Yeah,
Paolo
he's a max
said,
player.
he said, what'd you say to me? What'd you
Think
say
about
to
it
me?
now in a game like situation where like the Magic are going to have to fight for every game if they want to win. And Paulo seems like he wants to be a winner. He wants to change the culture, and which I think is a big part of Rookie of the Year. Like you're help building a culture usually on that team, or you're fitting into one, and it makes your teammates play better. Which I think he'll be that guy for the Magic. So that's why I think like Banchero, like he's definitely that guy, and I think he'll like it'll be not a clear Rookie of the Year pick, but I think since he's the most important player on his team, it's gonna be Paulo.
I think he's going to come in with the attitude too of wanting to win and leading a team. Even though he's a rookie, he's going to try to take over, and that's going to be like his team, sort of say. So I think that's going to be a lot of.
Try to take it over. I mean,
lot
like
of
all
say.
the Mavs are not the Mavs. All the Magic are missing. It's a big market team. Orlando is there. I mean, the money right now in Florida is just ridiculous. So that's a big
Yeah.
market team. They have the space to grow. They just don't have good players to mesh with each other. You
They
put
don't
a
have that
stud,
guy.
a 6'10" stud like Banchero on that team. First of all, he's averaging 24 this year. I think that's just like undoubtable. As long as he stays healthy, I mean, the ball's gonna be in his like. It's just gonna. The game plan is gonna be put the ball in Paulo's hands. It's just, can the other players around him get better? I think that's really what's gonna determine like the Magic's success, and especially if Paulo gets the Rookie of the Year award, because if he goes out there and he's just scoring, but he's not getting assists because his teammates are knocking down shots and his team is subpar. Like if he can't get open because he's getting doubled every time because he's by far the best player on that court, like I don't mean he's not going to win it.
But think about
But
it like
if-
this.
Like if
Are they gonna
RJ
be a-
Hampton steps up, or like
Are they going to be a
even
playing
Bamba?
team?
Cole
Because like you look
Anthony.
at this past
no,
rookie of the
no, they're
year,
not gonna be a playing.
like
team.
it could have been Cade or Mobley, but they gave it to Scotty Barnes because his team was in the playoffs.
I
And Scotty
It
played
should
the
have been
most
Mobley
games.
or Cade. Yeah.
Magic is not gonna be. Magic are not gonna be a playoff team this year, or not even. They're not gonna be a playing team this year. In a year?
You don't think they could be like a Charlotte,
I think so.
like a
Maybe.
9 seed?
Maybe.
You know
But
what I
that's.
mean?
But that's.
They'll be like a 10
That doesn't
seed,
even
probably.
depend on. That
Yeah.
doesn't even depend on Banchero at that point.
I don't
Like
know.
Banchero can.
I mean, if Franz Wagner steps up, you got Cole Anthony stepping
Yo,
up.
I forgot
you got
about
Paulo, and
Franz.
then you've got Isaac. You got, I think Bamba's still
Anthony.
there.
Yeah,
Suggs,
Carter,
Cole
Anthony.
Cole Anthony.
Yeah, like their team has got good young talent. I think they
Wendell
just
Carter
needed
Jr.
someone to
They're
set
so
the
young,
culture.
and this is just such a random assortment of like
Think about it.
should
They'll
have
get out
been.
and they'll run.
Bull Bull,
Like,
Mohamed Bamba.
like if they play the Lakers,
Isaac,
I honestly
Suggs,
probably bet on
Fultz,
the
Cole
Magic.
Anthony, Wendell Carter Jr. These are all should have beens. Like
Yeah, I think if they can put it together, they can be in that Charlotte realm. And I think if they are, Paulo has a good chance. I think
so
I'm the
how
only
many
one
games
that
do you
would.
see them winning? Max.
Oh gosh, I mean,
Like 40.
I don't think
could
they go over
see 'em-
43. I don't think they go over 500.
I was gonna say, I think their over under would be like 44 and a half. You know, like, and I would probably go under at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
But all they got to do is put together a 10-game stretch. I feel like
Realistically,
you know
I
what
see them
mean?
winning 32,
I
maybe.
don't know, man.
I see
I
that. I think
just
they
think,
get in
like-
the 40s.
They're like
Yeah,
20s.
I think
For the Magic?
20s.
For the
I mean,
Magic? I say
like,
like
if Paulo-
25.
if Paulo's as good as we want him to be, I mean, I
No,
think
he
that
is. He is.
then that's the thing. Then I think 40s
It's the
is
intangibles.
possible.
Wait, I wanted to bring this up real quick. Mike, can you let me share my screen?
Yeah.
Here, so all three of it. Wait, who didn't pick Banchero? I think it was Kev. Right?
I didn't.
Well,
And I'll
we'll talk about
explain
that
my
in a
pick
sec,
here in a
yeah.
second. Yeah.
But since the three of us all chose it, do I have access to screen share this?
Almost. Hold on.
I want to show you guys this clip. I forget who said it, but somebody. Oh, JJ Redick came out and said Paulo Banchero is him. He is a generational, once in a life. You're never gonna see someone like this. And he made some comments about how he has the swagger and like the intangibles. He goes out there and he's not like he's not thinking. It just happens. He's got that killer instinct. And I want to pull up this clip that can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
I want to pull up
Yeah.
this clip that show. Okay, so look at this. So Banchero's right here, and you're gonna see Murray come up and set a screen. Okay. So Murray comes up for a handoff. He gets screened by the off man and has enough knowledge and speed to get to that pass off a screen before the offense can even make the handoff happen. Right? Oh, look at that right there. Just cuts in between them. It's just ridiculous. His IQ is crazy for someone who's 19 years old. This guy sets a screen on him on another handoff, comes right in between them. Ends with a fucking 360, frickin'. I mean, this guy's a dog.
But he's also is a rookie still. I think unless he is that guy, I still think it's hard to like come in your first year and take over and like lead your team to like a playoff run.
That's
or
very
something
fair.
like
But look
that.
at what Cade just came in and did. And I think Cade and
They also had
Banchero are very
wins the whole
comparable in
season.
talent. Not maybe like how like they're not even Steven, like, but I'd
Yeah,
say
the
like
Pistons won. But the Pistons also
potential-wise-
won 23 times. They didn't win much at all. Like they were.
one. But I think that I
Like I see his potential, but I don't know if it's like this year.
I'd
I
say
say
that
in year 2,
last
3
year-
years for sure. But
last year,
Ah.
Cade, I'd say Cade as a rookie has had less help than Banchero will have as a rookie. And he still put up like 18, 6, and 3 or whatever. So
But
if,
then you got Kevin over here. He's saying Shaden Sharp. I got to know why you're saying that.
So I
played
think-
I put the
I feel like he's
Blazers
just
in my
placing bets at
sleepers,
this
bro.
point. He wants to win big. I feel like he's trying to find that one guy to win a big bet on.
I like this take.
So Shaden Sharp is a guy, his first game when he played in summer league was his first game in 8 months. and he got hurt. he
5
has a
minutes.
shoulder. He has a shoulder problem, but regardless of his like value betting wise, I think Shaden Sharp is a guy that we don't know much about. We haven't seen him play in a long time, and he's going to be put in a position where the Blazers have decided that they are not tanking. The Blazers have decided they're going to sign Anthony Simons. They're bringing back Nurkic. They
Lillard
just
signed
they just signed
the
another extension
ginormous
to
bag.
Lillard. So if you go through that roster,
Jeremy Grant.
like, yeah, they go and get Jeremy Grant, and you go through that roster, they're going to try and win games. I could see Shaden Sharp being this year's Scotty Barnes, a team that is good already, and he comes in and contributes consistently. If Shaden Sharp can stay healthy, I think it'll be Paulo and Shaden Sharp, just because of the team that he's on and in the situation he's on. They want Anthony Simons to be that wing guy. I think Shaden Sharp can be that guy, that the CJ McCollum, the second scorer behind Dame. And when Dame is on a team, there's no chance you're getting doubled. There's zero chance. So he's gonna have opportunity. And I was telling Trev about this a little bit ago. I think talent and opportunity are two very different things. Do I think Shaden Sharp is the most talented guy in this draft? No. Do I think he has the best opportunity? Absolutely. I think Shaden Sharp, in the position that he's in, has a good chance of going Rookie of the Year if he can stay healthy.
Dude, he has a crazy ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, I think and again, he's on a team that wants to win games.
He has the highest vertical in NBA history ever recorded at the combine. What is he? I mentioned this in the first one. 6'5" guard with a crazy wingspan, and his vertical is the craziest ever.
I think that outside of Paulo,
6'11" and a half wingspan.
Yeah.
And he's 6'6".
Outside of Paul Banchero, I think Shaden Sharp is my guy. I
really
chose
like
him
that
because
take,
I mean, I just think it is Paulo's award to lose.
49-inch vertical, highest ever recorded.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's Paulo's award to lose. And if he's going to lose it, I think it'll be to Shaden Sharp. I don't see a guy like Chet making the impact right away. I think it's going to take him a year or two. Jabari,
he's got to get some muscle for sure.
Pull a Giannis.
Jabari's a great shooter, but he played at Auburn. You know what I mean? Like, Jabari's a ceiling guy. I just don't see him putting it together this year. I love Ivy, but Cade Cunningham's still on that team. It's Cade's team. How much opportunity is Ivy going to have to like shine and put up the same numbers? I think Keegan Murray was a late lottery pick at best, and the Kings took him that way. I just don't see with Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox him finding his spot. I just think Shaden Sharp's opportunity is fantastic right now, and I think he has the talent to be able to make that push.
No, that's a great take. I'm just skeptical because he's played 5 minutes since high school.
I know.
So I haven't seen enough, so I'm like, I don't even know what this guy can do. Like the scouts were legit looking at like EYBL league back in like when he was still in high school. For like drafting him in the NBA, which is crazy. So that's why I'm skeptical on him. But
it is a risky pick. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Garland. You know how Garland like didn't play much, and he came in and he really struggled his rookie year. I mean, really struggled, and he's like finally starting to put it together. I really hope that doesn't happen to Shaden Sharp. I hope he comes in and rests his shoulder and is able to play like 60 games, but we'll see.
And you could argue what that turnaround Garland had, because like that first year when he struggled, like he was, I think it was like efficiency wise the worst player in the league.
Worst player in the NBA.
And then he all of a sudden flips it, and
he was
kind
also
of starts
playing
to come into his own. And how he didn't win the MIP was crazy. And that's kind of like our next segment here. We're going to talk about the MIP. And okay, let me start off by saying this. This definitely, I saw this, I think, King of the Fourth Quarter on YouTube. I think he said this on like his like basketball talk channel. I watched that a couple times. But he said Keldon Johnson. Like that was his pick.
I love that pick.
And then I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, DeJounte just got traded. And if you look at Keldon's stats, he's getting better and better every year. And Trev, I know you're a sucker for the efficiency stats. He's becoming a more and more efficient player while also getting more and more minutes. So now with DeJounte gone, and, I think they just re-signed Keldon Johnson too.
Yep.
Keldon is now in place. It's going to be Keldon's team, really. And if he was averaging 30 minutes last year. Imagine he's probably gonna be what closer
I
to
don't even think it
34,
was. I don't even
35.
think it was 30.
It was.
Yeah, I mean,
Was it?
It was 30. It was 31.9, so almost 32 minutes a game. And like his first year, he only played 17 games and played in about 17 minutes per game. But then he played in 69 the year before, and then last year 75. So if he can stay healthy and he's that guy on the team, he'll probably play close to 82 games. Probably not 82, but he's becoming a more efficient shooter. He's scoring more and more points. He's getting more rebounds. Like all his counting stats are going up. So it's like, why wouldn't you make him the MIP?
I love that pick, and I hate how the Spurs find those guys all the time. You know, it just seems like the Spurs just luck themselves. I mean, it's an attest to their scouting and their program, but man, Keldon Johnson for me is a fun guy. He's a guy that I would want on my team no matter what, you know, just because
Right.
he's going to put in the work and do that. And I think like watching those stats go up, like you say, he's getting better efficiency and numbers wise, which is like kind of rare. You know, usually you see the points per game go up, but the efficiency go down. He's just getting better in all categories. And now that he's the guy on the Spurs, I love that pick. Trev, who do you have?
I love that pick as well. I had Keldon on my fantasy team last year, and he's just a stat filler. He does everything. Like he's a defender. He's 6'6", so he's like one of those tween guys. Do I throw him at shooting guard? I throw him at small forward. Like he can even play power forward if you need him to, because he's a little bigger guy. But I mean, I love how he can just go out. He can get you 17 if you need it, or he can get you 6 boards if you need him, or 5 assists if you want, or go out and get me a steal. We need to stop. Like I love how versatile he is, and I do love that. He can do everything.
Do you know what his nickname
He's only 22
is?
also. No.
Well, he's got 2 of them. It's Big Body and Mustang.
Mustang.
Big body. That's tough. He's a big body dog.
Well, Trev, I'm looking at your pick here.
Yes, sir.
And
Just tell us about it.
I was gonna say I like the Cade one, but the OG one's kind of confusing me a little bit.
Which one would you prefer? Explain first.
Go start with Cade.
Okay, so Cade Cunningham, obviously, like I said just now, came out as a rookie with not a lot of help. I mean, we had Sadiq, who was young, hadn't really turned out yet. Stewart, who they just drafted, not much help at the center position. We didn't have Bagley yet, like just very weak roster. Kelly Olynyk was our starting center, like just a tough time for Detroit. Frank Jackson off the bench is like 7th man. And we had Josh Jackson as well, who's coming off the bench. Just tough times. And he came out and still averaged 18.5. He struggled at first at the beginning of the season and still managed to turn things around. And he averaged 18.5. I'll pull up his stats actually right now. I know I said I wasn't going to do this anymore. Okay, but he averaged 32.5 minutes with 17.5 points and 5.5 assists, 5.5 boards. Like he shot 84% from the free throw line, 31% from 3, and 41% from the field. He's young. He had a weak roster around him. Now he's getting more help. He's older now, more experienced. Obviously, settling into as a rookie year is never easy. And now that he knows he's this team, he's the captain of this team. No more, because I mean, last year he was kind of like, all right, we got Jeremy Grant, kind of the training wheels for Cage. Because we needed that piece who could like kind of hold us together, make sure that we could win a couple of games. And now we just completely handed the reins to Cade, and we're like, this is your team now, go get her done. And with the confidence he's coming off of a great rookie season, and I know his shooting stats are going to get better because everyone does in the NBA. It's a hard transition at first. You move the 3-point line back 1.5 feet, and then you're shooting over guys who are 7 foot and have played against grown men instead of college players. So I'm not worried about his shooting percentage. 42 is kind of weak from the field, and then 31 from 3 is kind of weak, but those will get better. He's 6'8", according to 2K. Let me double check on that.
No, they dropped him down to 6'6", I think.
It's 6'6", 220. Like that's just a big guy. Like he's just a very aggressive player, and I think he's gonna take the reins of this team and just do some crazy things. So that's my Cade take right there.
And he's one of just 10 rookies in the history of the NBA to average 17, 5, and 5, which is crazy that he could even win He was up there with like MJ Stats, Brown, Luca, like all these past winners.
You-
And he got robbed by Scotty Barnes. So
I mean, Scotty's a good player. But
you're talking like
I wish
some of the best
Cade won
stats
it.
with the top end, dude. So
I know, but the Raptors are also miles better than the Pistons. So, but
Like don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I like Scotty as a player, but like I do believe like the Raptors' success as a team had a huge part to
Right, right,
Scotty
right, right.
winning. He was the third, maybe fourth best rookie in the class, but he ended up winning the award because he was on the best team out of all the other candidates.
yeah,
I have been vocal about this, like in my circles. I'm not a Cade guy. I know I'm in a room full of Pistons
I was about to
fans,
say
so
you're in a podcast that's
he's trying to be Kendrick right now so bad.
No, I'm not
Well,
saying
wait, but I'll let you give your take actually.
no, I'm not saying that Cade's not a good player. I just don't see the fury that everybody's Cade should have won. He had you know what I mean? Like when Twitter exploded when Scotty Barnes won it. And like you're saying, he did average those numbers with like the greats of the greats. I just think that there's so much more room for Cade. It's not that he had a bad season. I just wanted like this much more from him. You know what I mean? Like just how hyped he was as a prospect, and in a pretty loaded draft. Like he was consensus number 1 in a draft that like had some really good talent in it.
And he finished second in Rookie of the Year voting.
And it's great, but like I wanted a little bit more. And I'm not saying I'm anti-Cade. I'm just like, man,
I
I
mean,
thought he was going to be a little bit better.
why he didn't get more is because he was coming off an injury. He was dealing with that, and he struggled his first month.
He
in the
started-
NBA. I mean,
yeah,
but
he
who
started
wouldn't? He was
slow.
Yeah.
what? He was 18, 19 years old. Like, I'm 21. If you put me in the NBA right now, I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
Yeah, I get
big
it.
time.
I get it. I just
But-
wanted a little bit more from him.
And if you didn't like the last stretch of the season, like the last couple of months, like he was, I think, the best rookie there was. And so
I'll give
I
you
thought
that. I'll
that
give
was
you
going to
that.
propel him to get the Rookie of the Year. Like, okay, like who can be good towards the end of the season when their team needs them, or who can be good for as long as possible. And I think, like, yeah, Jalen Green started to figure it out, but like Cade's more of an all-around guy, and Jalen's kind of more just a scorer. And then you
I
got
would love for
Booker, who's a
him.
beast on the defensive end, and he'll figure out his offense. Like, I see why those guys like had a case, but like Scotty, like kind of was like Cade. He could do a little bit of everything, but Scotty was on a better team. But Cade, I'm kind of like, because I saw your pick, and I love your pick. I love him. Dude's a baller, and I would have put Cade over Keldon Johnson, but the reason I didn't is because he's a number 1 overall pick, right? Like,
Yeah,
was-
like you're supposed to improve. Yeah.
like when John Morant won Most Improved, Twitter was
Dude.
furious. They
Yeah.
were like, it
'cause
should have
it's
been
John
Jordan
Morant.
Poole.
Yeah, but
Should have
see,
been,
that's
you
like
know-
Kevin. What you were saying is like you want this much more from him. I think that, yeah, he definitely had that potential, and he probably could I look he expected a little bit more as well. But circuits are huge, especially in the NBA, and there's only 5 players on the court. You can't do everything. I mean, you can, but like it's a lot harder when you're having an off day for your teammates to pick up the slack and get you better and get you back into the swing of things when your team is a lot weaker than most. And
And it's hard to score and be efficient when everybody knows you're bringing the ball up the floor. They're like, all right, it's
And-
Cade.
Yeah. No,
I think one of the
get that.
reasons, and I agree with your take, Mike, about like if you're the first overall pick, you like if you're a lottery, like it should be hard for you to win the MIP because it's expected of you. But I think because Cade didn't really reach those expectations last season, I think people were like, okay, that was great, but we expect a little bit more.
No,
I think
can
now
see that as well.
I think he's jumping to 25 this year, 25 points per game, maybe 6 boards.
He's been in the
6.5.
lab with Chris Paul this offseason with the point god himself. So
I would
now
love
we
for
got-
him to get better. Yeah.
And we just have so much, like we're so much deeper now, and it's just gonna help us. We're still really young, so I don't expect the Pistons to do anything crazy, but I do think that Cade himself makes that jump. It's gonna be hard for him not to. I think, like I
Yeah,
said, they
so-
gave him the keys. They said, "Go out there and get her done, dude. We don't care what you do." And I think it's just gonna be conviction at that point. He's like, "All right,
Yeah,
let's
I think
go."
he'll hone it in. And Mike mentioned my pick here with Tyrese Halliburton. I love this pick. Tyrese is one of my guys. I think the Kings organization in itself is just where players go to
Shit.
die.
Yeah.
Like players, and then he's gonna come into this situation in Indiana and I think he's going to do great. I think it was a steal, the fact that that they got him at that price. I think Halliburton is a guy who's going to come in and be exactly what we wanted him to be his rookie year. And I think these are the kind of guys like Keldon Johnson, like Tyrese Halliburton, that are supposed to win these awards, like Jordan Poole, like guys that were a nothing factor come in. And I can see Tyrese going, 18-9? Like I can see him doing numbers like that, you know?
Honestly,
what I love
Kev,
about
I'm
that
gonna
pick, what I love about that pick, think about it. He's stepping in now to Malcolm Brogdon's role because Malcolm Brogdon just left.
Absolutely.
And like
Yeah.
it's Tyrese, I think Miles Turner, and then Chris Duarte.
TJ Warren.
Yeah,
TJ Warren.
Yeah, and like those guys aren't anything special. Like it's definitely gonna be Reese's team. It's Reese all the way. I think he'll
Dude,
be
I
one
love
of the
it.
front runners for the MIP because like I agree with you. I think he'll put up a great season this year.
It'll be fun. And I just like the guy as a player. I think that like he really tries hard. He wanted to go to Sacramento. How many people can say they want to go to Sacramento? Like he and like again, he's going for Sacramento, Indiana. It's not that much better, but like he's still like he's a guy that wants to go out and play basketball, which is why I think he'll shine here, you know.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said real fast. I'm gonna change my Anunoby pick. I think that just piggybacking off your Kings take, hearing that. So we acquired Bagley right before the deadline from the Kings, and he's a former second overall pick, another lottery pick. But no one, he hasn't done anything. He's done nothing. And again, I think that the Kings are a franchise where players go to die. And I'm a huge Duke fan. I'm the biggest Duke fan on the planet. And the things he did at Duke, I loved him. I loved him. And I was excited for him to get to the league. But now he's playing, when he played for the Kings, like literally didn't perform, didn't get many minutes, unhappy with the situation. Like you said, he's coming onto the Pistons. He's expected to be like a role player. Yeah, like he's not really expected to do much. He's just kind of there. Just signed a 3-year, $30 million deal. We're getting him 10. Like he's not really expected to do much. Now he was the number 2 overall pick, and he's only 22 years old. He has so much potential still, and now he's in a great situation with other young players where he's going to get the minutes, he's going to get the touches, and people are going to give him the confidence. And if he takes steps this year, I could really see him winning most improved, because he came in averaging no minutes from the Kings, not being a very solid or consistent player, and he came right in and filled the role. And I think there's a lot more room for him to grow in that role. So I wouldn't be
Andrew
surprised.
Wiggins type beat.
Exactly.
And I think like that the Pistons are in a good spot to like kind of breed that talent, like Nards. Like same thing like with your pick. Like if you want to touch a little bit why you think Bay is in that position.
Oh,
I
love that.
I picked Sadiq Bey, bro, because dude dropped 50 points against the Magic, which is, I don't care what you do. If you drop 50, that's like insane. And the dude's an absolute beast, and he's been working out nonstop. They even told him to take a break because he's been working too. Even Casey said, he goes, I've never seen a dude work this much in a long time, which is incredible considering he's been with Lowry, DeRozan, like some of these great players. Pascal Siakam, And they said, like, take some time off. And he even went to Colorado, and he started working out in the mountains and, like, hiking and doing all his other activities. So I think he's in for a big season here. And his shooting's he's really good at shooting, and I think he's going to even improve that this season. So
he broke the
I
Pistons
think he's gonna
season
be up
record
there.
last year.
Yeah, he's for the 3-point shooting. So I really do think he can be up for most improved, because
I love that pick too.
I think
so I kind of want to piggyback off like how Trevor like kind of brought up the Bagley going to Detroit thing, and I think Bagley finally got comfortable with the team, like how Trevor said, bunch of young talent, young studs around him. The team has energy, and I think he kind of found his role as like the 6th man on that team, which they'll probably start him off on the season maybe at like in the starting lineup until like maybe Duran or like Stewart starts to like get a hang of their game, and then they put him in the starting lineup and let Bagley does what he does.
I'm curious to see the starting lineup at the beginning of the season, because there's so many different ways it can go.
I think
is Ivy even going to start? Right?
I think Bagley's going to win the 6th player of the year, 6th man of the year. I think he's going to come off the bench and lead that secondary Pistons unit to to be at least efficient to keep them in games. So when their starters come back, they can hopefully win some games a lot more than they did last year. But I think Bagley, like I said, like he's just more comfortable in that 6-man role. And I want to hear how you guys feel maybe about that. Maybe he might not be coming off the bench a whole lot as maybe some of your guys' picks, but I think he'll definitely be up there.
I think taking that number 2 pick light off of him, you know, because I just think he was scrutinized
that was 4 years ago too. So like
I know, but I still think I just don't think that he's gotten out of the shadow of the guys that went before him and after him, frankly. You know what I mean? In that draft. And so like I think if you give Bagley the 6-man role, which I agree with you, that can be a role that he really shows up in, is like give this guy, like he's not expected to be the star. He's on a team with Cade and Ivy. He comes in and he gives you quality, like power forward center minutes on that second unit. I think he could find a role without having to be the guy, you know.
And I don't think he will be the guy ever. I know he has potential, but not on this team. There's too much.
No. And I think he'll thrive in that. I think that's a great pick for 6-man. I just don't know if he's going to get many minutes as the 6-man, you know, like you said.
I think he's going to come up though. I think he's going to be a starter.
Like, I like how you said, like, he's not going to be the guy and he probably won't be one, but that's what the 6-man is. He's not that guy, but he's the guy off the bench. Like Jordan Clarkson will never be the guy, but he's known as one of the best bench players. Yeah. So I want to hear, like, I like your pick, Kev. I saw it. Like, obviously I saw the odds, like, but I think I'll let you explain this one.
I think that 6-man has a lot to do with winning. So if you look, like in the past, most 6-men have been on successful teams. If you look at Tyler Hero, if you look at even when Jamal Crawford was going, they were consistently on playoff teams and he was contributing to a winning program, right? So I think that the Grizzlies are in a situation, they're coming off of a 2 seed in the West. I see them getting better. I have Jenkins in there as one of my coach of the year picks. I see them getting better. And I think Brandon Clark, if Triple J can stay healthy, Brandon Clark is that 6-man role. And I think he offers the shooting that they're going to need. He was shooting
who's going to start?
It'll be Triple J in that power forward spot.
And then what?
So it'll be Ja. It'll be Ja, Desmond Bain, whoever they find in at center, Dylan Brooks.
I think it'll be Valanciunas at center.
Yeah, Valanciunas. So it'll be Valanciunas, Triple J, Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bain, John Morant, and I think that Brandon Clark can be like that guy that we're talking that Bagley can be, somebody who doesn't need to be the main star, can come in and get you your double-double or your 15 and 10 or whatever it is. And if his shooting improves or keeps at the level that he's currently on pace for, I just see, like, when people look at that Grizzlies roster and they're like, who were the key contributors? I think Brandon Clark could be one of those guys. I just think that being on a winning team really helps. What about
Xavier Tillman?
I like him. I do. But like,
because he did start a few times last year, but I also don't think he's going to be like a key player, but
I think the Grizzlies are
coming off the bench and doing some stuff.
I think the Grizzlies are full of like those kind of guys. Like, I want Desmond Bain on whatever team. Like, if I'm a GM, I'm getting Desmond Bain. If I'm a GM, I want Brandon Clark. If I'm a GM, I want Tillman. Like, it's just these like glue guys. Yeah, it's these glue guys that really care, that want to go out there and play. And that's another thing that I'm a little bit skeptical about Bagley is, does he have that drive and passion? You know what I mean? Because that's what a 6-man like needs to come in and do. You know what I mean? He needs to come in and just try his balls off every single play. Does Bagley still have
gets him started when it's slow?
Exactly. So does Bagley have that in him?
Well, I was talking about Bagley for most improved. Now we've moved on to 6-man of the year.
No, Mike picked him for 6-man of the year.
Oh, did you, Mike?
Because I was saying, like, he's more comfortable in that 6-man role. And I think, like, when you watch the first play of the Summer League for the Pistons, how did they get Duran going? They throw him an oop on the very first play.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a potential thing that the Pistons do during the regular season to get Bagley started, have Killian throw Bagley a lob to get that bench unit going. Then they'll bring the energy, and then Bagley will be the main scorer off that bench. Because like you look at
Right.
the Pistons bench,
Right.
you got Killian who wants to be a facilitator, and the other guard coming in will probably, I'm gonna guess it'll probably be Saban Lee or
Yeah.
Alec Burks. Alec
Kojo.
Burks will be there. Kojo,
Oh.
and then you've got the other players coming off the bench like Hamidou Diallo, but it's like Marvin Bagley is clearing away going to be that best player off the bench, and he'll be getting those 6-man minutes.
Yeah, and I think a guy like, I mean, he won it last year, Nards. Like a guy like Hero is somebody that you just think about when you think of 6-man. Somebody who's coming in and he's just a flamethrower
Yeah.
off the bench. Like you have to worry about that guy when he checks in the game.
He's like a Lou Will.
Yeah, I agree. It's somebody that you can trust to like run offense when your starting lineup is out.
Even like Cam Johnson, a guy for the Suns. He had that one game last year where he hit the buzzer beater. He scored, I think, was it like 30-something points?
Yeah.
30-something or 40.
I think Cam's gonna win 6-man of the year. I mean, the Suns just every year have been really consistent since Paul got there, and now that Booker's really shined and Ayton's coming out of his shell a bit, like it's really, I think that Cam's in a really good position to win 6-man of the year. There's not a lot of pressure on him because the starters do well enough, and he comes in and gets buckets off the bench. That's all he really needs to do. Like there's not a lot of pressure for him to perform crazy or to be that guy, and so he like too many 6-mans try to come off the bench and are like, I'm earning my starting role. I'm doing this. I want to be that guy. And like, no, sometimes you just need to accept your role. Like Cam does a great job of that. He knows he's a 3-and-D guy and he's fine with the 6-man role. And I mean, I'm sure he'd love to start, but he knows his role right now. He knows that he's not like the catalyst of that team and he fills his shoes well. I'm the guy to go in, get some steals, play some defense and knock down some shots. And he fills his role really well. He was in the talkings this past season. But I really could see him, especially if the Suns perform well again, coming in off the bench and filling that like 6-man role really well. So
yeah. And then I want to hear why Nards picked Tyler Hero to win the 6-man of the year.
I just think he comes off the bench and he gives that fire, and their offense is slow. Sometimes he comes in, starts,
knocks down a 3 or 2.
He picks it up, knocks down threes. He's clutch when you need him to be. He'll play like late minutes to the finals. Like if you're like a late game and stuff and you need him, he'll still step up and play that spot and embrace that role.
Right.
Whenever they need him, they'll throw him at and he'll do his job.
Same with Cam Johnson.
Whatever they ask of him. So
exactly.
Boy
Like,
wonder.
One of the biggest parts about a 6-man is can you trust them in late game situations? Because if your starters are playing all the minutes and like in the fourth, it's a tight game and you can't take your guy out and give him a breather for a minute, like it's like
need someone to come
you need to be able to
step
trust your
up.
6-man. And Tyler Hero and Cam Johnson, like those two especially, I like that Tyler Hero pick. But like I think those are guys you
Underrated
could
role
trust.
for sure.
You could trust in a starting position if ever need be, like in the end of a game, closing moments, clutch time, stuff like that.
Like if you Tyler here to come in and knock down a 3-pointer at the end of the game, if you're like tied, even down a couple points, he'll come and take that shot with confidence.
Right.
Even though he is a 6-man, he's not a starter, but yeah.
Exactly.
And then
They have that trust built up.
the coach of the year, I think sometimes that award isn't maybe given to the best coach. It's usually just the coach on the best team. Like you could argue Eric Spoelstra and Greg Popovich have been some of the best coaches in the NBA, if not the two best over the past like 10,
for
15
years. Yeah.
Exactly. And like if it was like that, you would be like, oh, these guys get the award every year. But it, like I said, it usually goes to the coach on the best team. But a guy who I think I should have won it maybe last year was Ime Udoka. I mean, what he was able to do, like as Kevin said, like that stretch they had after New Year's, like obviously like your coach has a big part of that success. Like he has to rally his guys to believe in themselves, and then the guys will rally. And then even in late game situations, like he was able to make good coaching decisions. And I think obviously like he got his first year under his belt, and now I think the Celtics, being so close to winning the finals, are going to be motivated to win, and the roster got better. So I think they'll have a better regular season this year, and that's why I think Udoka will win the Coach of the Year, because they're going to probably be the best team in the league, and if that's how the award usually goes, that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I think I have two on my list, but one's the same as Nards. So Nards, if you want to start talking about Jenkins, I think it's kind of similar to what's going on with Udoka, like a team that was good, who is like, but is still trending up, because that's what's weird about the Celtics is like they were a finals team and they are still getting better. They don't have a LeBron James, a Kawhi Leonard, like a win now, have to win within the next 2 years player. If you want to count Al Horford, I'll give that to you. But like they're still a young team. So they're like progressing.
Yeah, Robert
forward.
Williams though.
Yeah, and so I think Jenkins
Dog.
Yeah, I think Jenkins is in that same situation if you want to start talking about him, Nards.
And like, I feel like the coaching, the Coach of the Year especially comes with your team has to be successful to win that award, and you have to be like developing your players as well. And him coming in with a bunch of young guys with John Moran, Jaren Jackson Jr., like the whole team is young. He's been coaching them up over the last like 2 years, and they've been on the incline ever since. So, and I think they're gonna have a good season this year again, and they're gonna make a run maybe in the playoff season pretty far. So I think that's honestly why they got a good system going, developing all these young guys and their talent. So I think that those two things come together to be Coach of the Year. I think he's up for the front runner.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I had him. Just because I can see that team getting better, and they were already a 2 seed. And that's the same thing with Celtics. I can see the Celtics getting better, and they already made the finals. So like you kind of have to like respect that coaching decision there. My other one that I had was Tyronn Lue. Like the Clippers are going to be dangerous.
That's a good one. I like that, especially with the John Wall sign, dude. That could be scary.
I know. Like the Clippers are going to be in the mix, whether people like it or not. If Kawhi, Paul George stay healthy and play 55 games together, 65 games together, they're going to be a top seed in the West. And at that point, like you can't like not give it to Lue. The guy has just proven to be a good coach through and through with whatever roster that he's given. And I think that if the Clippers succeed like everybody expects them to, I think Lue will be in that conversation come the end of the year.
They were so close to the finals when George and Leonard were healthy. They just ran into the Suns, who had a great season.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I like that Tyronn Lue pick, and especially I think that addition of John Wall will really like take the pressure off of like Leonard and George, maybe to sometimes bring the ball up. Let John Wall do it. Like I don't know why people are slandering his name. Like he's still a good player. Like he hasn't played, but the Rockets shut him down, and I think he finally found his home in LA.
I was just having that whole like conversation with Trev, and Trev, like if you want to like tell them like what you told me, how John Wall just has to be half of the player that he was.
I mean, yeah, no, that roster is absolutely freaking stacked with talent. I mean, and Trey Mann's looking like a dog. Like they're already performing, and they've been injured consistently for the past 2 years, like one or the other, or a couple of pieces at a time. And now they just added sure, people are like, John Wall hasn't played in 2 years or whatever, how many ever games it was. It does not matter. I'm sorry. It's not like he's not touching a basketball or working out or staying in shape. Sure, he hasn't played an NBA game, but like the Clippers don't need him to come out and average 27 and 7 like he used to. Like they need him to. They already are contenders without him. They need him to just come in and give them quality minutes. Like that's literally all they need. If John Wall is still half of the player he used to be, if he can come in and get you 14 and 4, the Clippers are gonna win it all. I mean, there's really no one that can stop that team. That's a really, really stacked team. That's a deep roster.
Who's your Coach of the Year?
I chose Chris Finch, the Timberwolves head coach. Well, I agree with Nards. What Nards said, it's not really about like I agree. I can see some truth in what you said, Mike. Like they give it to like the best coach on the best team or whatever. But I do think they really look into player development. And one of the things I was talking about with Kev earlier before we started recording was that I think that coaches on teams who aren't expected to perform a lot, so like a sleeper, like a dark horse team, like a team that's not really expected to do anything, but ends up outperforming expectations and like maybe not makes a run in the playoff, but so I chose Chris Finch, the Timberwolves head coach. Last year they lost in the play-in. Oh no, they didn't. I'm sorry, they lost in the first round. They lost in 6 to the Grizzlies. But like they were playing team who made the first round and lost in the first round. Like they're really not expected to do anything. And coming off a season like that, adding Gobert to your starting lineup, you got 2 7-footers now and one who can space the floor like nothing else. I could see them making a run for a 5 seed, especially with Anthony Edwards, who's been playing out of his mind. Like statistically, numbers we haven't seen not before. And D'Lo now at less, like more weight off his shoulders because Ant's coming out and performing now, and more weight off Cat's shoulders. He doesn't need to be that rim protector because he never was. And Kyle Anderson throwing him in the mix too, a solid, consistent guy. I really could see them making a statement and winning 55 games and being a 4 seed or something like that, or a 3 seed even maybe. I think that they're a very, very sleeper team in the West. So and most of the time in situations like that, when the team outperforms themselves, I think the coach gets the recognition for that. So
And I think like when you think of like, the good coaches like that, like I kind of brought up Spoelstra, and then like you look at like, the
Pop.
players that they got, and like, yeah, you got Pop. Like usually those guys like have some good players on their team, which the Wolves do have. And another team that does have a lot of good players and a good coach is the Miami Heat. And
on paper, 2 years ago, forget everything that the Heat have done. Like forget the recognition that Jimmy has now. 2 years ago, if you showed me that roster on paper and were like, this team is going to make a run to the finals and almost beat LeBron, I would have been like, yeah, like shut the hell up. Like,
And
all right.
now that they did do that, I believe like since they've been like so close to winning and then making the finals in the past 2 years, like Jimmy wants his ring. Like the dude wants to win. And I think he's one of those guys that like is arguably the most competitive player in the NBA. Like what he did in that final series, like he played
Too bad
almost
he
every
shot a
single
3
minute.
instead of taking it to the hole in a fast break. It's okay.
See, like, and that's just he was one play away from making the finals this past year. And I think the Heat, I think, probably match up a little better, like for those runs than the Celtics do, because I believe, like, first off, when your best player is Jason Tatum and he doesn't have that dog in him, especially like late in games, Jimmy does. Jimmy was
dog.
taking shots. Like that dog is gonna pull up on that 3. So that's why I think that he will be the champs next year. I think Jimmy's gonna go on a tear. He's gonna be forming, I think, a really, really good pick and roll with Bam Adebayo and then Hero off the bench. Like if he's 6th man of the year, like they'll be fine. Like I think their roster is ready to win it all right now, and that's
Really?
my pick. Yeah,
You don't think they need another guy? I mean, I think they proved they need somebody else. They go
they
out
need
and get
somebody else.
Lowry,
Yeah,
and it didn't work.
but like think about it. You got Jimmy Butler. Like that Jimmy Butler alone was able to carry the Heat to the finals. He did it. He got to Game 7 of the conference. Like think about it. They have been so close the past 2 years, and I mean, who's to say that someone's gonna stop a hungry Jimmy Butler led Heat team with one more year of experience, so everybody understands the game of basketball more. They're a great defensive team with Coach Spo as the coach, one of the best defensive coaches in the league, if not the best. Like it's ready for the Heat to take the championship. I believe the Heat should be the favorite going into the season. That's just me, though.
Wow.
Me.
Okay. No, I mean, I like it, but like you said, it's one more year of experience. It's one more year of Jimmy Butler being 33 now. 33.
LeBron's like what, 38, 39?
Are you about to
LeBron's
compare
built
Jimmy
different.
Butler and
yeah.
Apparently,
right-
Jimmy Butler is Michael Jordan's son. I don't know if you guys have seen those conspiracy
I saw
theories.
that, dude. It's so funny. But like, I
this
like
is a
what
really
you're-
hot take. I think that right now, this is not saying all the time. I'm saying right this minute, this past season, Jimmy Butler was a better player than LeBron.
Yes.
Yeah, this season, I don't think that's a debate. I think this season he played better basketball. I think
Right, and so the
problem
fact that, like, I would compare him to LeBron if he performed better than LeBron and he's like, I don't see reason why he couldn't keep it up for another year.
I mean, I don't see him falling off. I just see them needing to make another change. That's all. I don't see them not being in that competition. I just think that if Bam doesn't take a step forward, they're going to be in the same position they have been in, is they're going to be a 2-round playoff team. And then they just don't have that juice to get them over the edge. You know,
I mean, who says they don't make a move at the trade deadline though? Like, what if all of a sudden but because Kevin Durant might get traded, he wants to go to Miami, right? You had Kevin Durant next to Jimmy Butler. I don't care really who else you got on that roster. Like, I'm gonna pick the Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler team.
Yeah, but you said the roster is ready to go right now. That's what I think. That's what I don't agree with.
I mean,
I just think they need another move.
Hold on. LeBron averaged 38 and 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Jimmy Butler averaged 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists.
So
I mean, I don't know if we can.
LeBron's team.
I don't know.
LeBron's
I don't
team
know
didn't
if
even
we can compare.
LeBron's team needed LeBron.
LeBron didn't even make the
Heat
play-in
didn't need Jimmy to
tournament.
function. That's the thing. Jimmy puts the Heat over the edge.
Like, but Jimmy's team overall had a lot more people than LeBron's team.
And that's why LeBron had more counting stats. That's
thing,
like it's a stat padding thing.
I get it.
Go to the efficiency. Go to the efficiency.
What do you mean?
Stats.
LeBron.
We don't have to do like the Jimmy versus LeBron thing. I just think the Heat need another trade. That's all I'm saying. Is I don't think
might do that
they're
at the deadline, but like I think
I
they're ready to compete right now, as they always are.
I think Eastern Conference Finals, I can see them doing it. I just don't see them beating the top teams without making another move. That's all. Like I don't like they proved that they couldn't do it. You know what I mean? When Jimmy needed a bucket, it was Jimmy needed a bucket. And like what, Tyler Hero, if he improves, and if Bam can take that step forward, I think they're championship ready. But I just don't know if Bam can do that right now. I just haven't seen that from Bam.
Bam is so underrated.
I think he's underrated, but I just don't think he's that guy yet. I don't think he's him. If you know what I mean.
And I think in the lab, all of them have been in the lab. It's the off seasons when they're all working.
We'll see. I hope they prove me wrong. I just like.
I mean, dude, you said
that they're one move away.
You put the Nuggets on your.
Bam never showed up when they needed them.
He.
That's the thing. Bam ran away.
He'd outperform
Bam never showed up
when
they needed
in the bubble.
The bubble, the Rockets, the Nuggets 2 years ago are not the Nuggets of this year. The reason why I have the Nuggets on there.
And the Heat 2 years ago aren't the Heat this year. Like the Heat are definitely ready right now.
No, the Heat are exactly who they were 2 years ago. Besides Lowry, that's the only person that they've changed. The Heat are exactly who they were 2 years ago. The reason why I have. Oh, Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent's gonna.
Udon's probably gonna retire.
He's actually a really good pickup.
I think he is a good pickup.
What about Udonis Haslem?
Yeah, so I'm saying Udonis Haslem.
42 years
in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I put the Nuggets.
Who did the Nuggets add? Bones Highland?
No, the Nuggets. Jamal Murray. The Jamal Murray.
No, I know, but he played in the bubble.
I know, but he hasn't played the past 2 years. And Jamal Murray was amazing in the bubble. And then you get Michael Porter Jr. Like, I'll go into my Nuggets take if we're talking about it. I think you have back-to-back MVPs in Nikola Jokic. Like, he's arguably the top 5 player in the NBA. I think you can't win back-to-back MVPs and not be in that conversation. You had Jamal Murray, and then you had Michael Porter Jr., who I think could be like one of the better wing all-around guys if he can stay healthy. I just think that they have a roster that makes the playoffs consistently every year. Oh, and then guess what? Jamal Murray's back. You know what I mean? I like that. I like that roster. And I think the West is on a decline. And I think that if any chance for them to like take this gap is because if the Clippers come out, I also have the Clips, but like we've already talked about them. If the Clips come out and underperform, the West is wide open. So the Nuggets need to win.
I was going to say the opposite. I was going to say the West is getting tougher. The East is on the decline because you got the Clips now. You got the Nuggets, the Warriors. I still, like my take, I think the Warriors could go for two-peat again next year. And you got like the West is just so stacked. You got Portland there that's just trying. No,
I'm not saying that they're not talented. I'm just saying there's no definitive number one best team.
Oh yeah.
Like it's no. But all I'm saying,
I think whoever wins, like
you have to get through.
Yeah, there's not like a juggernaut like the Warriors with like KD and those.
That's what I'm saying is that it just who's going to get hot come playoffs, and I think Murray and Jokic can do that for their team. I'm not saying that it's weaker because I think it's the strongest it's ever been. I just think from 1 to 8, I think everybody realistically has a chance.
What my argument is you're saying that the Nuggets are not the same team as they were in the bubble, but you said the Heat are, but neither of them have made very large additions, and the Heat in the past seasons have outperformed the Nuggets every time.
Well, the Nuggets
And-
have MPJ, who hasn't played, and Jamal Murray will be coming
First,
back. Who got
MPJ
hurt
has been
as well,
battling with
so.
back injuries forever.
I know,
Didn't even
but, like,
play at
Yeah, that's what he's-
Missouri. So like, I just think like that's not very reliable. And also his defense is so subpar. So like, it's just, if you think the Nuggets are ready right now, then the Heat are definitely ready.
Thank
Heat
you.
have proven they
I'm
are
not. I'm
ready.
not
if
saying. I'm
anything.
not saying the Heat.
That's
aren't
what I'm
ready.
saying.
I'm just saying
Warriors
the
are
Heat.
two-peating. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, why
The
do you think that
Warriors-
though?
no,
Why
no,
do you
no.
think the Warriors
No
are going
way.
back to back?
Dude, what do you mean? You got Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Those three together are like insane. And then if they're gonna add Jameis Wiseman,
I know
that
you
we had
can't.
not
You
seen
can't.
play like at all. You
I know, do
cannot
not
put them
count out
like
the
under the
Warriors.
rug. You cannot sweep them under the rug this year. I'm sorry. You just can't. They dominated the Celtics, dude.
You learned.
I mean,
could've
they
learned
lost
that
some
in
of their
five.
bench depth though. That's the thing.
But they'll always,
I-
dude. Every single year they have a championship. It's always the three, and then some other scrubs on the side with it. Well, Iguodala too.
Right.
KD.
I've
Kinda
What
there.
what kind of
I've
scrub
made
is he?
this.
Well, I'm talking. Other than that, the other three without, or the other two without them, or whatever they have now.
Too.
Those
Two.
two, yeah, the other two.
Even when they played
They
the
still
Raptors,
have
though.
different teams.
Like,
I've made this claim against the Warriors because I'm a Cavaliers fan that the Warriors are going to drop off next year. The Warriors can't do it again. I'm done saying that because it's bit me in the ass.
that's
every
what I'm
single time.
saying.
Like
When
I
are
would
people
love
going to
come out
accept
here-
the fact
Curry
that,
out, dude.
that they are going to make the playoffs and make a run every year?
I would
How can you
love to
guard all
say-
three of those guys and then have Wiseman addition in the center? That was their weakest spot this year. Was center. And if they have Wiseman come in and do what he's supposed to do,
Yeah, Poole
they
came out of
kid
nowhere.
splash.
I think if the Clay is not who Clay was, and he never will be. The knee injury is just he's not the same defensively, but he's still going to shoot.
Achilles,
I think
ACL.
I think Draymond is declining, not in value but in talent. If that makes sense, I still think Draymond is like
The
He's the
motor
glue.
of
he's one of the
team.
more.
He's
Yeah,
an
he's the motor.
undersized like 4'5", dude. But
And he
he's
really-
good
and he
up there with
tries,
that
but-
intensity. So
But you saw him. He
It's
doesn't
hard to
shoot the
keep
ball
up.
anymore. Yeah, he
No,
just
no,
doesn't
I
shoot
know
the
what
ball
you mean.
anymore. But you still have Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman on your roster. Like
I think Looney's still Kevon Looney, right? Yeah, I think he's
yeah,
still
Kevon
there.
Yeah.
Looney. I think he's a dog. I'm done saying the Warriors are going to drop off. I would love
When
to say
you've
that.
been there
but I
6
can't do it right now.
times, you know exactly the formula, dog. I don't care.
And Jimmy
The only
Butler
year-
knows how to get to the finals too. That's
And
what I'm
everyone's
saying.
like, yeah, Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant. Bro, they swept LeBron the year before. Shut up.
what did Kevin Durant do without them? Kevin Durant needed those three to get a ring, and they don't need Kevin Durant to get a ring. They've
The only
proven
years
themselves.
the only
without
years
Kevin
they
Durant.
haven't made it were
was that they didn't have
year
all three of
before
them. They
when
didn't have the
Clay
trio.
when-
was hurt,
you're right.
and yeah,
So I still think they're gonna go for that. I think they're gonna make at least a run, and they're gonna.
when
try
you've
to
been there
two-peat
6
again.
times, bro, you know how to go back. Their composure, if you watch the finals and pay attention to like how the Celtics were clearly younger and more talented, I think, personally. The Warriors just knew what they were doing. They knew how to compose themselves. They knew how to play. They knew how to react. They knew
Yeah,
the
and
ins and
Jalen-
outs.
Yeah.
They
And
could close games.
Jason Tatum's not that guy yet either. And like Steph is just a baby-faced assassin. That
No,
guy will
literally.
ruin your life.
Real quick,
Like,
though,
You
'cause I know
can't
we're
guard them.
what do you got to say, Trev?
closing this, but my pick for the champions was the Sixers.
I
But
can see that. I mean, like we talked about the Sixers. Like, yeah,
Right.
if Harden is who
they have all the
we
pieces.
expect
They
him to
just
be,
need
yeah, they have all the pieces.
They just need them to play. Like,
But
that's
they
pretty
have the
much it.
Doc curse. They have
I
Doc Rivers
know.
is still the coach.
I know.
So
Maybe
we'll
it'll
see
be
what
his
happens.
year too, but I mean, yeah, I explained the Sixers take earlier. They have all the pieces and they just need to perform basically. If they can stay healthy and stay on the court with Maxey and Harris and Thibault, bro. I mean, Thibault's a
I
great
like
defender.
it, dude. I love Maxi,
love him.
man.
Maxey is
Maxi's
great,
fun.
too.
Yeah, Maxie's a dog.
MIP?
Could be.
I just
Possibly,
don't think that there's
possibly.
enough opportunity for him.
I mean, with
You know,
Harden
I- yeah,
running
I
the
think
ball
he showed
though,
up a
and
lot.
Maxey playing off ball, because I'm sure Harden will be bringing it up.
It'll be a fun season, especially in the East, like in that top quadrant.
Definitely.
You know,
yeah.
like the top four will be fun to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, next week we're going to be talking about like the teams that are going to be like the teams that could win it all.
Sleepers.
We'll talk about the sleepers, and then we're going to talk about teams that are going to fall off. But Kevin, thank you so much for joining us, being our first official
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Guys, I
You're
love it.
awesome,
Whenever,
dude. Like,
Brought tons of knowledge.
I'm glad you were
tons
here,
of
man.
facts.
I appreciate it, guys. Whenever
Everyone,
Thanks
we'll
for
do it
coming
again
back on.
sometime.
Let us know. We'll work
Dude, we'll
something
do it
out.
again.
Yes, sir. But
Thanks everybody for watching.
happy Friday.
Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn those notifications on.
Hit that bell.
Smack that though.
And tune in to next week because we got a banger of an episode next week. But again, thanks, guys. Happy Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe tonight, boys. And we'll see you guys next week. And as always, I'm Mike.
I'm Trevor.
I'm Mike.
And we have
And
a
I'm
special
Kevin.
guest.
guest.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
Peace
Peace.
out, boys.